Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to Element, who is the sponsor of the video today. I have been using Element for over 2 years now. They use a science-backed ratio of electrolytes in their electrolyte drink mix. It's 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 68 milligrams of magnesium. And these days, with the way water and soil is so depleted, I definitely feel more comfortable supplementing certain things, and electrolytes is one of them. I feel my best when I have at least one of these per day. I have found that as I have adjusted my diet, when I was on keto carnivore, I needed a lot more. When I've been on a little bit higher carb of a diet, I need less. And so it always kind of varies depending on what I'm doing. But it is something that I consistently use, and I do really love it because the flavors are fantastic. So very refreshing. I love the grapefruit salt. So if you want to try out Element, they are offering a free sample pack to any of my viewers. All you have to do is use my link, drinkelement.com/indigo, drinklmnt.com/indigo. Click that link and place an order for anything on the website, either the drink mixes or the sparkling element that they have, which is also really good. And that will automatically get you that free sample pack added to your order. Thanks so much to Element for sponsoring today. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about some influences that I have started listening to as I've transitioned my diet from ketovore to what I would call a more pro-metabolic or bioenergetic type diet. I haven't really talked about those terms on the channel. I've been in a state of flux trying to kind of figure out where I land as I've shifted things around. But really, I have landed in that pro-metabolic bioenergetic camp and have learned a ton from the different voices there. And so I know that trying the sugar diet, a whole foods version of the sugar diet, it might seem like a 180-degree switch for me if you just were watching me make carnivore bread back in the day and you haven't really followed my journey from that point to now. It might seem like, oh my gosh, this is such a big change. But it's really been like at least 1.5 years of a transition for me. I haven't been on a low carb or keto diet for at least 1.5 years at this point. It did take a lot of time for my body to transition to eating more carbohydrates, and I have gotten lots of benefits from that, so very happy with that, but it wasn't like an overnight thing. So I just thought it would be helpful for me to give you guys a list of all of the different people that I've been listening to and learning from over the last 1.5 years, just in case you're interested in going down the rabbit hole and just checking out the information out there. It's very easy when we are in a certain diet group to just hear other voices in that group. And I have definitely done that in the past. I have tried in the last several years to not do that. And so I intentionally listen to people that have a completely different diet than I do, or different beliefs about diet than I currently do. And that does help me to stay open-minded. So let's just go ahead and get into the list. These first several I would put in the camp of bioenergetic or pro-metabolic. And if you've never heard of those terms, they are influenced by the work of Ray Peat. And I have not dug in specifically to Ray Peat's work itself, but I have listened to a lot of people who have been influenced by him and kind of give their take on his approaches and his thoughts and ideas. And really, from what I understand, Ray Peat doesn't have a diet, like the Ray Peat diet. He just talks about different things and how the body works, and you can kind of make your own conclusions based on that and make tweaks to your diet based on his thoughts about it. And so the people that I have been listening to kind of have done that. So the first one that I would highly recommend if you want to just dive down the rabbit hole of maybe carbs could be healthy is J. Feldman Wellness. He does a fantastic job of breaking down the science and just piece by piece. And some of it is way over my head, honestly, but he does a really good job of explaining it. And I have listened to so many of his Energy Balance podcast with Mike Fave and just had kind of my mind blown about all kinds of things. I'm not going to try to go into them because that would take forever and I wouldn't be able to do it as well as them. So I definitely recommend listening to the Energy Balance podcast. And so that is Jay Feldman and Mike Fave. Mike Fave also has a podcast. They each have one individually, I believe. And then they also have one that they do together called the Bioenergetic View. And so all three of those really good, packed with tons of information. And I think if you go back to the Energy Balance podcast, the first, I don't know how many episodes, 10 or 15 or something, they just kind of break everything down. It's like basics, like listen to this first. And so I listened to all of that. And then I've listened to lots of other stuff from them over the last year and a half. Have learned a ton. Also living the bioenergetic pro-metabolic life is the Strong Sisters, and I have followed them from way back when they were carnivore and they were on the Doctor's Show with Paul Saladino. That was a fun time. And they have really moved towards a more pro-metabolic diet. They have a YouTube channel and a podcast, and they did a series with Kathleen Stewart a while back. And she really dug into the Minnesota starvation study. And it was really, really fascinating learning about metabolism and how our idea of metabolism these days and like controlling calories so intensely just maybe is completely off base. And that was just a fascinating, like mind-blowing series. So definitely recommend that. Anything from the Strong Sisters, and then also that series with Kathleen Stewart is fantastic. Next person I recommend checking out is Kate Deering, and she's another one in this pro-metabolic bioenergetic world. And she wrote a book. I forget the name of it. I haven't read the entire thing, but I've listened to a lot of interviews from her, and I want to finish reading the book. She talks about how to heal your metabolism and how important carbs are to having a strong, robust metabolism. And so that's definitely a great resource. She also has a lot on Instagram. And then I don't think she has a YouTube channel. I don't think I've found it, but there are tons of interviews with other people on other channels of her. And so if you just search Kate Deering on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of different interviews and things from her. It is interesting that I think all of the people I've mentioned so far have gone down the road of keto and sometimes carnivore and very low carb and have had issues and then moved into this more pro-metabolic diet and have found a lot of benefits from it. So that's kind of the pro-metabolic list. And one thing that I love about pro-metabolic is that they're not anti-protein and they're not anti-fat. They see a lot of value in, healthy meats and fats. It's kind of like Weston A. Price type. It's influenced also by Weston A. Price, which is just like lots of fat, butter, healthy meat, things like that. Like they value those things, but then it's also balanced with the valuing carbs and the recognition that you can't have a ton of both at the same time and not probably gain weight or have some negative health effects. So I feel like it's very balanced. There are a lot of influencers talking about the value of carbohydrates that are on the vegan side of things, and that doesn't resonate with me. And so to find an approach that still valued healthy fats and healthy animal protein and, healthy fresh dairy and things like that, but also talking about the value of carbohydrates and how we can have all of them in our diet in order to be the healthiest version of ourselves, that really resonated with me. So definitely the pro-metabolic crowd is where I kind of land. And so I'm kind of playing with this sugar diet that really does fall into the bioenergetic or pro-metabolic realm. It's just kind of a tool within that. And I did know from listening to all these different voices in the pro-metabolic world that for me, if I were to want to lose weight, I would need to drop my fat down. It was, we don't say fat is bad, but we recognize that if we're eating lots of carbs and using that to stoke our metabolism, you can't also dump a whole bunch of fat on that at the same time. And so this sugar diet that I'm doing falls under that pro-metabolic approach, but it's just kind of like a tool within that. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. And there are even people in the pro-metabolic world that are doing things like drinking Mexican Coke because it's got cane sugar in it, dumping sugar into milk and drinking that, and like dumping sugar into orange juice. Juice is very popular in the pro-metabolic world, and I haven't gone that far into it. It always, you know, when I first was hearing him talk about juice, I was like, oh, that makes me so nervous coming from a keto background. But I'm having my mind kind of changed, and I'm not jumping into tons of juice at this point, but I'm open to having my mind changed about juice, fruit juice, real juice. So they have definitely influenced me, and I'm still learning. Like I said, there's also a lot of vegans talking about the value of carbohydrates, and they often have a lot of really good info, even though I don't agree on all points. I try still to listen to, like I said, other voices. There's a handful of vegan channels that I have followed for many, many years, and I get a lot of value in listening to their thought process and their experience and results. And it's okay, we don't have to agree on everything. So one channel that I'll recommend if you're really interested in the science behind this and the different idea about insulin, about fat actually contributing to insulin resistance, definitely check out Mastering Diabetes. The main guys that are on the videos they have type 1 diabetes. So they actually inject their own insulin. So they know exactly how much insulin they're giving themselves to use the food that they are consuming. And they're eating like 700, 800 grams of carbohydrates a day. And they're not using as much insulin to take care of those carbohydrates that you would think. And their reasoning, and they have all this science backing this up, is that when you're eating fat with the carbohydrates, the fat is kind of muting the signal from the insulin, or it's like plugging up the receptors. Like I said, I'm not going to explain all of this stuff, but it's something about the fat plugging up the receptors, and then the insulin can't do its job. But when you let the cells work through the fat, and you're not putting so much in, your cells, they respond to insulin. They're more insulin sensitive. Eating a bunch of carbs in the absence of fat can make yourself more insulin sensitive. It's wild. So definitely recommend checking out their stuff and seeing what you think there. I think the fact that they are type 1 diabetics and they are injecting their insulin, and they're not having to inject tons and tons of insulin to manage these many, many hundreds of carbohydrates, I think it means something. So it's very, very fascinating. Also, Lean on Carbs has a whole plan, and she really does very similar to what I'm doing now. So I've definitely been influenced by her, doing a lot of fruit in the morning and then more starch in the evening. Definitely, she doesn't do the animal protein because she is vegan. But one thing I really love about her is that she emphasizes eating lots of calories. I am so done with diets where you have to eat 800 calories, 1,000 calories, 1,200 calories. Anything that you have to eat under 2,000 calories every day, I'm like, I'd rather just be overweight. I value metabolism. I value eating. I value not being hungry all the time. And so I definitely love her approach of really focusing on nourish yourself, eat lots of food. And I had this idea for a long time about vegans, and specifically like raw vegans or low fat vegans, that they just weren't eating very many calories. Like, how many calories of broccoli can you really eat? And so I had in my mind that, they're just on a super low calorie diet. And that's why they're so skinny. She shows that she eats, over 2,000 calories every day, and like up to 3,000. And I was just like, I had to kind of be like, well, I think I'm wrong on that one. Same with watching like Durian Ryder and Freely the Banana Girl. And I remember them from like 15 years ago. Like, I remember drama between the low carb community and the vegan community. And that was a big thing. So I've been aware of them for a long time, but not really followed along on, what they recommend. I do think they have been around for a long time preaching the same message. So that, means a little bit of something. So anyways, I hope that gives you a few more channels to check out if you do really want to go down the rabbit hole of can carbs actually be healthy? I know it is a big shift when you've been in the keto and especially the carnivore world. I was in that world for a long time, and after I healed my gut and was able to increase the foods in my diet and see the benefits, like actually get the benefits of having carbohydrates in my diet, I don't see myself going back anytime soon. I always say though that I could change my mind. Like, here I am talking about eating lots and lots of fruit and lots of carbs. I've changed my mind. Next year could be something different. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to prescribe anything to anybody. I'm not telling you that I'm right and you should do what I'm saying. I'm just sharing my own journey, and kind of talking through it with you guys is enjoyable for me, and it helps me to kind of think through it a little better. And you guys tell me that you enjoy it as well, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. Thank you for all the kind comments. I was expecting a lot more negative comments, and maybe I've already scared most of the people away from, increasing my carbs to 200 grams a day. They were already gone. So maybe that's why I haven't had so many nasty comments, which I'm very, very grateful for. But also thank you for all of the kind comments and the supportive comments. It really does mean a lot. I'm going to leave it here, and I will see you guys in the next video.